Hey everybody, it's Brad again with another Masterworks 3 video for you. Sorry it's taken so long for me to come up with a new video, but I'm pretty busy. And I can really only do this either when my daughter is at her grandma's house or when she's taking a nap, and she's taking a nap now, so here we go. This video I'm going to show you how to do a little bit more intricate towel embossing than the last video that I did. Disclaimer here, I did steal this from Floriani, and I did just teach this in the Floriani Club on Monday. So I figured you could do it just as easily in Masterworks, so I figured I may as well do a class on it for you Masterworks guys that I have too. So, alright, this is what it's going to look like when it's done. It's kind of like a stylized effect here. The towel's going to be poking up through here and through here. It's kind of like a negative space type design. So if you don't know what towel embossing is, it's you embroider just in the negative space, basically. So this is going to hold down the nap of the towel, and then the towel will poke up through here, and then this will hold down the nap of the towel also, and then the towel will poke up through here, and it creates a really nice effect. And I have this exact design sewn out as a sample in the store, so if you want to see what this looks like, just come in the store and ask to see my towel embossing sample, and I'll show you. Because I was really quite pleased with the way it came out. I thought it looked nice. Okay, so I'm going to create a new page here, and I'm going to show you how I did this. So I'm going to open up your Masterworks program, and you'll just have the blank screen like this. And the first step is to create a square. So to do that, you go up to your Artwork tool, left-click on Artwork, and go down to Rectangle, and left-click on Rectangle. And then click and drag any size. It doesn't matter the initial size because we're going to be changing it in our properties menu. So I've got my rectangle that I've drawn in here, and just literally left click and drag and let go. Any size, like I said. So look to your properties menu, left click on fill, and then left click on apply. That fills in with color. Now this isn't stitches, this is still just artwork. But it's filled it in, and the reason we need to do that is because when you're doing combining, which is what we're going to be doing later, if your artwork isn't filled in, it doesn't combine right. So, alright, now we've got our fill. We go over here to transform now. This tab says artwork, this tab says transform. We go to transform. You're going to uncheck maintain aspect ratio, uncheck, and change the width to 5 inches, the height to 5 inches. Now, if you aren't seeing inches here, it's because your grid is set up to be in metric instead of inches, and you can switch back and forth between the two by right-clicking on one of your rulers. This is a ruler, and this is a ruler. These are your rulers. If you right-click on them, you can switch between metric and English. Okay, so anyway, I lost that by clicking off of it. I forgot to hit apply. So I'm going to go back again and 5 inches, 5 inches, and hit apply. And now my square is an actual square, 5 inches by 5 inches, and I want to center this in the design field. So I can kind of eyeball that if I wanted to, but it wouldn't be very exact. So to center it, you go up to, see these tabs up here, go to modify, and then left click on center. Okay, now go back to the home tab, artwork, rectangle, left click and drag. This time we're going to change the color before we do anything else. So I've got it highlighted right now. I'm just going to, it doesn't matter what color you pick, any color. I'll do red, or this is kind of pink, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what color it is. And then again we fill and click apply. Go to transform and change the width to 4 and the height to 4. Hit apply, go back up to modify up here, and left click on center, just like that. Okay, now what we're going to do is combine these two things. So to do that we have to select everything, and to select both of these at the same time I can just left click and drag a box around them. I could also have hit Control A, or I could have gone into my sequence view and held down the control button and left clicked on each one of them. However you're comfortable, you just need to have both of these selected, and then you right click and choose Combine. Now the right click has to be, you have to right click on the rectangles. So then we go down to Combine and left click on Combine. And what that's done is given me just this outer border. Okay, now again, we don't have any stitches yet here. There's no stitches involved. This is all just artwork at this particular time. Just so you don't get confused. Okay, we'll go back up to Home. And then left click on Artwork again. Choose Rectangle again. Again, draw a rectangle, any size, doesn't matter. Fill it, hit Apply. Transform. This time we're going to do 3 inches by 3 inches. Hit Apply. Modify. Center. Okay. Now we've got our inner square and our outer border. We need to bring a letter in to do this monogram. We're basically doing a monogram towel embossing here. So we're going to bring in a letter. And what we're going to do to bring the letters in is go up to the Masterworks 3 magic ball up here in the upper left-hand corner. Left click on it. Choose Import TTF Artwork. It's down here near the bottom. Choose the letter you want. This time, instead of a B, I'm going to do an M for Meadow. And then next to Font, hit Select. I want you to choose Arial. And then under Font Style, scroll down to Black. And then select OK. So you've got your letter, and when everything is set, just left-click on OK. Now, my letter came up green. If yours comes up the same color as your background, you're going to need to change it. So, you know, if I don't have, I think because I had done this before, it defaulted to the settings that I had previously. So if this comes up and you can't see it at all, it's because it's probably blue and you can't see your background. So just left click on any of these colors. It just needs to be a different color than the background, than this square. It doesn't matter what color it is. Okay, so now you're going to go to Transform. And this time we do want to maintain the aspect ratio. So left click on Maintain Aspect Ratio. That way it doesn't deform our letter. And change your width, no, change your height to 2 inches. And then click Apply. Go back up to Modify if you're outside of Modify, and then click on Center. Just like that. So you should see 1 square, 2 squares, and then your letter. Now, I need to have both of these, the outer and the inner squares, selected and not the M for this next part. So what I'm going to do is hold down the Control key and then left click once on the outer and once on the inner. Okay, and I can see in my sequence view that those two things are selected. And then I'm going to right click. Oh, no, you know what? Scratch that. You don't right click. Go to Transform and Rotate. Type in the number 45 in the Rotate and hit Apply. Now, after doing that, I can see that my particular letter is a little bigger than I wanted it to be once this piece has been rotated. So I'm going to go back and left click on my letter M, go back under Transform, and I'm going to change the height to 1.75 and hit Apply. There we go. I just didn't want the edges of my letter to touch. So depending on what letter you choose, like if it had been a capital letter A, that size would have worked fine. But M is a little fatter than A, and so I had to adjust my size down a little bit. But it's not the end of the world. I just, like you can see, you just go right into Transform and do that. Now we need to have our M and our inner diamond selected. Okay, so the way you do it, hold down again the Control key, left click on the M, or whatever your letter is, and then left click on the background, the other diamond. Okay, both of those are selected. I can see it in my sequence view. Very good. Right click, Combine. Boom. That's the majority of the work. So next we need to add some stitches to this. So select first. Actually, you know what? Instead of adding stitches first, what I'm going to do is copy it. I'm going to make a copy of these things for reasons that will become apparent later. So left click on your outer part to select it, and then right click, copy, right click, paste, and then the same on the other one. Right click, copy, right click, paste. Okay? Now go back to your original two, and you can do this easily in the sequence view. And do the very first one here, the outer diamond, left click on that, go up to home. If you're not already there, click on home, and then under apply stitches, you're going to left click, and on the drop down menu you're going to select motif. Okay, now when you have motif selected, go to your properties. Under fill here, you're going to change the pattern from 201 here, which is really dense. Just find one that's less dense. I forget which one I used before. I'm just going to eyeball them and see. This one here, 237, this looks like it'll work fine. So I'm going to left click on 237, so that's one I want you to pick for the first one because I know that'll work. 237, and then click apply. Okay. Now you can't really see it doing anything in here until I change it into 3D, which I'll do at the end. But it has just created a motif fill on this outer part that's going to be the thing that tacks down the towel. So now we're going to go down to the next one, which is my inner diamond. And we're going to do apply stitches, motif, and we're going to do a different one just to give it a little bit of variety. I'll do this time, let's see, do FO23. That one will work good too, FO23. And you can experiment with different ones. So I click apply, and it applies my changes. Okay, now I've got a couple more steps to do because I want to put a satin stitch border around this whole thing. So that's why we made these copies, so that I could create my satin stitch border. But if I set a satin stitch border to this without doing something to keep it so that this and this are two separate stitches, there'll be a giant jump stitch. So what I can do is actually, on your artwork, outer diamond here, right click on the word artwork in your sequence view, just like I have here, and go down to break apart, and it'll actually create, oops, hang on, undo. If you just did what I said, undo it because it wasn't right. You actually need to go and turn off the fill for that and for the other artwork. Okay, so for the two copies that we made, you need to go in, left click on it, go in your properties, and make sure that fill is unchecked. Then you can right click on it and choose break apart, and do the same for the other one, break apart. Okay, now each one, see how I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 things now. I've got my two lines that are going to create my satin borders around the outer part, and my border that's going to go around the M, and my border that's going to go around the outside of the inner diamond. Each one of these we're going to do the same thing to. We're going to apply stitches, choose satin, choose the next one, apply stitches, choose satin, next one, apply stitches, choose satin, and here it's yelling at me, but we're gonna fix that, what it's yelling at me about, in a minute. And next one, apply stitches, satin. Okay, so we're going to go up, and each one of these, you know what I should have done? I should have done this as I was going, but you're going to change the width from 3 millimeters to 2 millimeters for each one of these. Apply, and that's right in your properties, width, millimeters. It's on 3 is the default. You're going to change it to 2, and I'm just going down my sequence view. Each one of these, 2 millimeters, hit apply. See how it didn't yell at me that time? Next one, 2 millimeters, apply, and that way our satin stitch isn't too wide. I'm going to put it in 3D so we can see it better. There we go. Looks beautiful. So the way you sew this out is you're going to take your towel and have it off to the side. Hoop up some sticky stabilizer. You're not going to actually hoop the towel. You're going to hoop sticky tearaway stabilizer, and then stick the towel to it. So once you've got your towel stuck to the stabilizer, you're going to take some Solvay or whatever the equivalent brand you have, dissolve away stabilizer, and you're going to put that on top, and then just embroider this straight onto that. If you like, you can go in and add a basting stitch. Where's the basting stitch? Here we go. Under Modify, you can go in and click Auto Baste here towards the middle. And what this will do is make sure it tacks that solvy down to it. And you sew the thing out, and you want to match your thread color. Don't use the blue here. Use the thread color to match your towel to make it look nice. And then it'll sew this whole thing out, and you just tear away the tearaway on the back, and you'll be able to tear away the solvy also from the outer part, and then from the inner part here. You won't even have to wash it the first time that when you give it to somebody as a gift. Yeah, so that's how you do it. Although, you know what, I just noticed something. This didn't fill in this part of my M here, and if your particular letter doesn't fill this in all the way, it's going to depend on the shape of your letter whether it figures out it needs to fill that part in or not. You can actually go back to that fill. Look, I'm going to left click on it in my sequence view. It's just it depends on what pattern you do and which letter you have. So if yours doesn't fill this part in like mine didn't, just choose a different fill. And what you're looking for is one that's not too dense. So let's see, this one looks like it's not too dense. Hit apply. It didn't do it either. We'll try FO61, see how this one does. Yeah, it's not pulling it in. It doesn't like my M for some reason. Maybe if I change the stitch length, let's see, apply. There we go. Okay, so what you can do is just decrease the stitch length until you get it to fill in the entire area. So that would work fine. So actually, you know what? I really like the way that looks. So new instruction, have your inner diamond here on your fill. Set the pattern to FO61 and then click on the stitch length and set it to 2. I think that's going to sew out really, really nicely, just looking at the stitches. Anyway, sorry for that little hiccup there. The fact that the inside part of my M didn't fill in, but I think that this is going to work a lot better anyway. Having the fill set to the pattern FO61, stitch length at 2, that's going to sew out nice. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it and go home and sew this out and have a nice gift for somebody, because this really looks slick. If you think of it when you're in the store, ask to see my sample because it looks pretty awesome. Alright, well, that's it for now. I'll see you in the next video.